turn the camera, we're actually going to help out the homeless today.
What I love about Vancouver is everything.
The ocean and the mountains are all right here.
The thing I like for sure is the nature of the city.
People are really friendly. One thing I would change, but I would change it in a whole bunch of cities in Canada, is I wish it was more affordable.
Thank you so much. What's your name?
What's your name? Oh, what is your name?
Who am I here with? What's your name?
Love the mountains, the summers are great here, the weather.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, 604Talks.
To start off, could you tell us who you are, your role at the Covalent House of Vancouver, and what your work with youth looks like on a day-to-day basis?
So my name is Pauline, and I'm a philanthropy officer at Covenant House. So what that means is I don't work directly with the youth. I'm on the fundraising and event planning side of things. So for me, what I really do at Covenant House is try to help bring in the funds to be able to provide the programs and services that we do offer our youth here.
From your experience and knowledge, why is having a safe and stable place such a critical foundation of a young person's well-being?
Yeah, well, I think in general, when you're going through tough times, you're dealing with mental health issues or whatever it might be, it's really important that your environment is fruitful and nurturing, because that's really what sets you up for success. All of us were born with the same kind of capacity and same ability to achieve things. It's really ultimately the environment that surrounds us and how we're nurtured and how we're supported growing up. So yeah, it's really important that we do provide that space for our youth so that they have a lot of the same opportunities that other people might have who did grow up in maybe, more nurturing environments. We use the example of it's like the soil around seeds. If a seed is in really crappy soil, it's not going to grow. If it's in really good soil, it's going to grow and flourish well. So, yeah.
Okay, going on to my next question. When youth come to Covalent House with any issues that arise, what are some of the immediate needs you focus on first to help them feel safe and supported?
Yeah, so when they first come to Covenant House, we're going to make sure that they have nutritious food, make sure that they're physically okay, and if they are not, address any of those kind of health issues, and then make sure they're safe as well. Sometimes we'll have youth that are coming to us and they might have people out to get them, or they just might not be in a very safe situation. So it's really important that we also make sure that they are physically safe. We'll, give them clean clothes, help them they can go take a shower if they want, give them a nutritious meal, and then from there we'll start to focus on kind of the mental health side of things and the other side of things.
Okay. How does stable housing create space for young people to start thinking about their future again?
Yeah, well, it takes one thing, I guess, less off their plate, knowing that they have a home that they can come to every night, knowing that they have a safe space that they can call their own. I think it's really important because when you're living on the streets, it's very unpredictable. It's not good for your mental health whatsoever. And being able to provide stable housing, it's one thing less our youth have to worry about. And it's a very basic thing that youth should not have to worry about.
Okay. One more question. For a young person walking through your doors for the first time, what are some of the ways Covenant House helps them feel seen, supported, and cared for beyond just meeting basic needs?
So firstly, we go beyond the basic needs. We make sure that they have access to mental health support. So, they are going to see a counselor, they're going to see a therapist, they're going to talk to people. But when they first come to Covenant House, they'll have kind of a one-on-one session with one of our youth and social workers. And it's really one-on-one time. It's not a big group of people. The youth is the focus in that moment. And what hopefully helps them feel seen is the fact that when we provide a treatment plan for these youth, it's very specific to our youth's needs. So it's not just one standard plan that we, suggest for all our youth. It's very specific to that individual youth's needs. And that's because we're all individual, people. We all have different needs. We all have different ways of coping. And it's really important for us to help our youth feel seen so that they know, we're there to support them specifically. They're not just another number. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Moving on to work life, I'm gonna ask you 4 different questions about your work life there.
Sure.
So, from what you see, what kinds of support help you feel ready to take steps towards education or employment?
Yeah, well, I think what's most important at first is to address their mental health, because if they're not necessarily in a stable place mentally, they're not going to do well at school. They're not going to do well, in a workplace environment. So what's really important for us is that we focus on their mental health. We help them get better in that sense, which then in turn sets them up for, going to school or finding a job or whatever it might be. So first step, definitely addressing mental health.
How does the Covenant House help youth build confidence and life skills as they work towards independence?
Great question. So we have a whole team that focuses specifically on life skills. So what we mean by that is we have amazing professionals who will come from the community to volunteer their time with us to website. So we've had chefs come in and teach our youth how to cook. We've had fitness instructors come in and host like workout classes for our youth. We've had financial advisors come in and teach our youth budgeting. So we really, and it's whatever our youth want to learn. So we ask them, what are some life skills you want to learn? They let us know. And then we go out into the community and find people who can help teach our youth that. And it's super empowering because they're learning all these things, but it's also, they are saying they want to learn it. It's not just us kind of forcing it on them, saying you should learn this. It's very much driven by our youth and what they want.
That's amazing. Moving on to my next question, what qualities or approaches from employers in the Covenant House make the biggest positive difference for youth who are starting or restarting their work journey?
Yeah. I think it's really important for employees here to be encouraging and supportive of our youth, because a lot of our youth, they don't have people that are cheering them on. They don't have people that are supporting them. They often have people who are putting them down. And I think it's really important for our staff here to be encouraging and supportive of our youth, but to help build up their confidence, because the more they build that up, the more our youth will be able to kind of flourish. And our youth and social workers, so our kind of staff, they're kind of journeying with our youth every single stage of the journey. So they're there to support them the entire way through. And I think that's really important as well.
Thank you so much for that answer. My last question is, what is your work life there at the Covenant House like?
Yeah, well, it's really great here. I think, we talk about so much focus on mental health for the youth, but it's also important that as employees, we focus on our mental health as well. And not necessarily me, because I don't work directly with our young people, but for our social workers and our youth workers who are working directly with our young people every day, it's very heavy work, right? So it's super important that they take time for their own mental health, take time for themselves. And there is a good work-life balance here of just making sure that you are prioritizing your well-being as well, so that you can show up for our youth. Because if our youth and social workers aren't prioritizing their own well-being, they're not going to be able to provide support for these youth, right? And for me, if I'm not taking care of my own well-being, I'm not going to be able to perform and raise the necessary funds that we need in order to actually provide these programs and services. Yeah.
We're now going to be moving on to food, care, and routine connection.
Alrighty, Pauline. Thank you for the amazing answer so far. Next, I'm going to move on to talking about nutrition side, like food. So for the first question, I'm going to ask, why is consistent access to food such an important part of creating stability and trust for the youth?
At Covenant House, we make sure that our breakfast, lunch, and dinner is at the exact same time every day, and there are always snacks around. And I think that it gives a sense of reliability for our youth, because when you're homeless, every day, every hour can look super different. So it's really important that our youth know, okay, there's a place I can come to and a meal is going to be there for me. And once again, it's one less thing for them to worry about, right? It's one less thing for them to stress about. And when it's one less thing for them to worry about, that leaves room for them to then focus on their mental health more. So yeah, it's really important that we do have that consistent meal structure every day, so that our youth know that there is a meal coming at this time every day and they can trust that. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. The next question I have for you is, are there small daily experiences, like maybe cooking or having a meal together, that tend to mean more to youth than people might expect, just from your experience?
Yeah, for sure. I think, in terms of having a meal together, our dining space. So we have kind of a big dining hall, and it's long tables, and the purpose of that is so that youth can sit with each other, make new friends, build connections, right, rather than sitting by themselves. And I think that's really important because through that, we have a lot of youth who have become friends or who have, found someone they can trust, and that's really very important. Even cooking together, a lot of our youth who maybe did a cooking workshop or something like that, they discovered a passion of theirs. They realized how much they love to cook, and that's inspired them to maybe pursue a career in culinary arts. So yeah, there are a lot that come out of just having a simple meal. Yeah.
All right, thank you. This is the last question from here. How do everyday acts like meals or shared spaces you think contribute to healing and emotional safety?
Sometimes it can evoke good emotions of their childhood, maybe of like a meal that they once had when they were younger that's brought us on a sense of safety. It's knowing that they can rely on us for nutritious food and good food, and there will never be a shortage of food. So there never has to be that food insecurity. I think that's really important as well. And then once again, just building those connections, maybe finding similarities with other people. It's a great way to build relationships for sure.
For sure. Thank you. I'm going to pass it on to my teammate here.
Nice to meet you. I'm Matthew. So, from your experience, why is it important to approach substance use among youth with compassion rather than judgment?
Yeah, because I think if you approach it with judgment, you're only going to push the youth away. They already feel so judged. They already feel really isolated and abandoned in society. That it's really important for them to feel that, we want to help them. We're not here to judge them. We want to help them, and we want to be a support for them. So that's why I think it's a really big piece of coming at it from a compassionate approach, is because that's the only way we're going to get these youth to actually come to us. If we're approaching it with judgment, they're not going to come to us, and we're not going to be able to help them.
How does Covenant House support youth in addressing mental health challenges alongside other parts of their lives?
So all our youth have access to counseling and therapists, and different forms of therapy as well. So we have art therapy. We're hoping to get a music therapist in at some point. So we try to provide as many therapy outlets as possible as well. So there's that kind of mental health side of things. And we also make sure that we're leaving room for recreation and wellness too. We want our youth to be having fun. So, we have a full skies basketball court in our building. We have an art room, we have a music room, we have a games room. Like, those all play into your mental health and well-being, right? So we provide a lot of resources for the recreation part, and then also making sure that all our youth have access to counseling and therapy. Yeah.
What does a trauma-informed approach look like in practice when working with youth who may be struggling?
So it's knowing, what might be certain triggers for these youth and how to avoid those triggers. Learning different body language that might, it's really avoiding triggers for our youth. So whether that's through words, whether that's through body language, even our physical space in the building, making sure we use warm colors around the space, making sure that we're making it feel as cozy and homely as possible. It's a lot of different aspects that go into that trauma-informed care for sure. Yeah. But every one of our social workers and youth workers would be trained in that trauma-informed care.
Oh, nice. Okay, last question. Why is recovery best understood as a journey, and how does Covenant House walk alongside youth throughout that process?
So we have different programs that are really meeting our youth at different stages that they're at, so whether they're first coming to us, whether they're ready to address their mental health, whether they're kind of transitioning to independence, we have a program for each of those different stages. And the purpose of that is so that we can journey with them through those stages and support them through those stages. And, recovery is a journey. It is, because some days might be better than others. It's not linear. There are going to be ups and downs. And that's why it's so important at Covenant House that we are there to journey with them at every different stage. And we have resources and programs for all the different stages. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Vancouver is often seen as beautiful and thriving city. From your perspective, what do you wish more people understood about the realities of some youth that face here?
Yeah, Vancouver is definitely a beautiful and thriving city, but there's definitely a huge mental health crisis and drug crisis that's going on. And that affects young people for sure, you know. And Vancouver then is also a very expensive city to live in, and they all kind of feed into each other, you know, not being able to afford groceries. And then that's not good for your mental health, and you might be already struggling with your mental health. So there is definitely a huge mental health and drug crisis that is going on in Vancouver. And that needs to be addressed for sure. And there needs to be better access to mental health supports for a lot of people. Yeah.
Why is it important for communities to acknowledge youth homelessness rather than look away from it?
Yeah, because the youth are kind of the next generation, right? If you invest in these young people, the return is going to be so much better for society, right? So I think it's really important that you look at these issues, support these youth, help them get out of that situation because they are an investment. You know, it's these exact same youth are going to be kind of contributing back into society, and it's really important. That's one way to think about it. You know, other than kind of basic humanity of helping others, there is that idea that, you know, it's important to invest in youth. It's important to make sure that youth are getting a good education, they're healthy, and being able to address these homelessness issues is part of being able to, you know, help these youth turn their lives around for sure.
Okay, last question regarding this topic. If you could share one message with the public about supporting youth, what would you want them to hear?
I mean, I think if you can support Covenant House in any way, we are about 80% privately funded. So all the programs and services I've talked to you about, it's possible through community support. It's really possible through community donations. So, you know, fundraising is vital. We need these donations. And being able to support in that way is really important. But then also advocacy, right? Spreading the word about Covenant House, letting people know that Covenant House is a place they can come to. And being able to provide young people just with those supports is really, really important. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Last question to summarize everything we talked today. For students or young people listening, what are some meaningful ways we can support the Covenant House Vancouver or get involved in the work that you guys do?
Yeah, so fundraising is the biggest one, like I said. Your school actually hosts a sleep out, which is one of our biggest fundraisers. So Winston Churchill has hosted a sleep out before, and I know they're doing it again this year. So that'd be a really great opportunity for you guys to get involved in that kind of sleep out movement. It's a great fundraiser that brings awareness, but it's also very educational and it's a very moving experience. So try to participate in your school sleep out. It's amazing that you guys are hosting one, and that'd be a great way to get involved. We do have volunteer opportunities as well. They're not directly with our youth because you guys are so similar in age. So it's more behind the scenes volunteer opportunities, but we do have those. And then also just advocating, being an advocate for our youth, letting, you know, people in your school know about Covenant House, and just breaking down the stigma about youth homelessness. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
Amazing. Thanks, guys.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
So what makes a culture unforgettable? Hong Kong is a place that I feel comfortable and safe growing up.
A place full of memories with my friends and family.
It's a place full of opportunities, hope, and energy.
Headlines move fast, context gets lost, and the stories behind everyday life here don't always get told. Food we share, the movies we make, the homes and communities we build. So what really defines a culture? In each episode of HK Uncovered, we will dig into what's happening in Hong Kong right now and compare with how things used to be to see what's really changing. We focus on the food and entertainment scene, social issues, and the deeper cultural ideas shaping everyday life here.
Next, we'll bring in people who live and breathe Hong Kong culture. Filmmakers, musicians, historians, university professors, or other local voices. They can share personal stories and insider knowledge. There's so much more. This isn't just a surface level commentary. We offer deep research, archival stories, and interview with knowledgeable figures. We do the digging so you can understand the why behind the what. As in Hong Kong Uncovered for fresh perspective on a truly unique situation.